Welcome to the Christ Connection Podcast. We are here to help and encourage you to enjoy your adventure with Jesus. I'm your host, Kevin Senapati-Ratna. Let the journey begin. Hello and welcome to the Christ Connection Podcast. My name is Kevin Senapati-Ratna and welcome to episode number 51. It's hard to believe we're already at episode 51, but we've got a good one for you today. My guest, yes, I said guest because this is our first time having two people on the podcast at the same time. It's an amazing couple, JonCarlos and Gabriella Velez. They are the worship pastors at Emmanuel Christian Center, which is my home church when I'm not on the road speaking somewhere, which also means they're in charge of Emmanuel Live, which takes them around the country doing camps and conventions, things like that. And they do stuff, just the two of them. They're an amazingly talented couple with, they also lead SOAR, which we get into, which is a School of Artistic Refinement. They are songwriters and they are amazing singers. You just want to go Google them and listen to some of their music. It's just good stuff. But more than that, they have a heart for God, a passion for His presence. They are people who I've just seen them draw a group into the presence of God. It's an amazing thing because of their heart for the Lord. And we, in this conversation, have such good stuff that you're going to enjoy. You're going to enjoy them. They're great people. So, without further ado, my conversation with JonCarlos and Gabriella Velez. All right, JonCarlos and Gabriella, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us,
Glad
Kevin.
to be here.
It is good to finally get to talk to you online with this. I must say right up front I'm probably going to switch back and forth between JC, Gabby, and Gabriella and JonCarlos, but you'll forgive me, right?
Good. It's all good.
Gabby,
As long as you clarify which JC you're talking about. Aha, got that one.
JC, yeah. Is it always been JC, by the way?
Yeah, that was kind of a thing. Like, started going to youth group. There were people, I think my youth pastor, Pastor Mark McKinstry, who's a missionary now in Spain.
He might have started that.
He might have started that. JC, are you with me? He would always say that.
His family, if his nickname with your family, they either call you John or John, like
John,
that.
John. Yeah,
John.
John.
It's a Puerto Rican thing.
It's a Puerto Rican thing. So, yeah.
Yep.
But I think our youth pastor started JC and then it kind of stuck. I never called you that. It's really weird for me to call him that still. I can't even call him John. Like, that's just weird. That's not, that's weird.
But now it's John from right now.
Yeah.
From this moment on, everyone else.
From now on, I am
first.
John.
That's it's a name change kind of a situation here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, when Mark Allen Schoolmeister was on, that was when he said, "I'm no longer Mark Allen." So this is the name change show. That's the new name for it.
Yep.
I love it.
Absolutely.
So if you want anything else, John, or we can go wherever you want to.
It's official here. This is where we do it.
This is great. You make it official, bro.
All right. So, speaking in this vein here, I thought I'd start with a fun. Where did you guys meet? Kind of your origin story of the JonCarlos and Gabriella.
Oh my! We met when we were 12.
12.
Yeah, JonCarlos. I remember he came into our church. What was the story there?
Well, I grew up. We both are from Milwaukee, and I grew up like in the hood.
Yeah.
Like East Side, Milwaukee, Holton Street. I mean, it was whatever. So, anyways, my parents. They were invited to our home church back in Milwaukee, Oak Creek Assembly of God, and by a cousin of ours, and my family ends up getting saved, and I get saved, like radically saved. Like I heard like the Lord just start speaking to me. I was 12. I was this punk little kid, just like a wannabe hoodlum gangster kid.
Yeah. So when I met him, he walked in with like his like super baggy clothes and the Superman shirt with the fake abs on it and like gold chains. And he had a mustache and he was 12. And we were talking about your parents.
I probably looked like I was 27 years old.
His
like,
parents
legit.
wouldn't let him shave it off. We were telling them the other day. I was like, that's just mean. Like, why would you do
But
that?
but I saw her leading worship in youth ministry, and she was like, she caught my eye right away, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's got the voice of an angel. And I knew
I didn't like him.
she did not like me, but I knew I was gonna win you over, and that one day I would marry you.
Yeah, he told my mom when we were about 13, hey, I'm going to marry your daughter one day. And my mom came to me and said, you are no longer allowed to talk to that boy. He is way too passionate about you.
Yeah.
So, we dated off and on through high school a lot. We broke up a lot. We were the dramatic couple in
Oh,
youth
yeah.
group that every youth pastor dreads having. We were, I mean, we did everything together too, like with music, and we were in
Worship
the
teams.
worship team, fine arts, all those things together. But we just, so we've done that since the beginning. We've had to overcome a lot of drama, but and
up.
learn. We had to grow up, and obviously, thank God we did. I mean, we were 13, 14, 15.
When we
just-
started dating and stuff.
Yeah.
And I would always tell her, I know I'm gonna marry you. It's either prophetic or it's pathetic, but I know I'm gonna marry you.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
So we ended up going into North Central, and we weren't together when we first went to North Central, but then got back together. There's a whole story there that I won't get into, but
God turned it around.
yeah, we got back together towards the end of our freshman year, and then we worked on a relationship. We realized, like, okay, we love each other, and
But God had to do some work.
yeah,
in
he
us.
really did. And it was the best thing for us to be apart. And I had to grow up. He had to grow up. And God, like, radically, like, wrecked me in college. And so that needed to happen. And then we got back together, and we dated all through college then, and got engaged end of our junior year, and got married after I graduated. So that was a big thing. I wanted to graduate first, and
Yeah. Got married in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Now 3 kids later.
So how old were you been then when you got married?
22.
22.
Oh,
Yeah.
so 9 years there of
Back and forth.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
that's a just so you don't feel so bad because you seem a little like Jenny and I, when we were dating, we dated for a while, and then I broke up with her, and I know, I'm proud moment there. We were probably 19 at the time, and then we didn't date for a year. And I was like, okay, actually what happened, this is not in the notes at all, obviously, but
This is for free, friends. This is for free.
that's right. So we stopped dating for a year because she made a commitment to God. She wasn't going to date for a year right after I
Wow.
broke up with her. So she's like, I'm going to, I need to take time for myself. And so when that year was ended, I proposed to marry her, right? Just skip the whole dating part again. Just said,
That's
all right, let's just go for it.
Oh my
So
God.
Dude, that's the way to do it, man.
I was all in at that point. So
Yeah,
there you go. Now the audience is getting my story too. So here
That's
we
awesome.
are.
that's great.
So, speaking of my family, when I knew I was going to be interviewing you guys, my daughter said I needed to ask you this question. So here we go. My daughter asked me if you could tell the story of your time on The Voice, your whole Voice story. Since I've heard bits and pieces, but not the whole thing. You feel comfortable sharing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while, but
It's been a while.
we'll share about it. Yeah, I joke that I don't love sharing about it, and I don't know why. I must have some bitterness in my heart, maybe a little bit. But it was
Just a bit. Just a
no,
bit.
it was really an incredible opportunity that we got. They were coming. The Voice was coming to Minneapolis, and what they do is they'll kind of scout out people before they come to cities. And so our names were thrown out by someone, and they said, hey, you should put out a cover video, so that, because, hey, we put your names and gave somebody, some producer or somebody, your names, and so they might be checking you out. We're like, oh, okay. So we did a cover video and put it on YouTube and didn't think much of it, and said, our attitudes were very much like, hey, whatever
Yeah.
comes, like, we're not going to chase after something, but well, yeah, let's give it a shot and see what happens. So a couple of days after that, we actually got an email from The Voice saying, hey, caught your video, and would you guys want to come in for a private audition in Minneapolis? So we basically, that step is like step 2. So we skip like the cattle call where everybody comes to a city, like, so we go right to
They call it executive auditions.
I think so. Yeah, that might be the
Something
third
like
one.
that.
But this one is, yeah, it's basically the callback from the first round. So it's like the second round. So we go there and they go, yeah, prepare 3 songs. And so we prepare all this stuff and we go in and we're just, I don't know, we're just like along for the ride. We're like, okay,
Every step of the way, we always said, like, God, we'll go as far as you allow
Yep.
us to, but if you want us to stop, put a
Yep.
stop
If
to
you're
it.
not in it, like, shut the door. And we've said that from the very beginning. And so we go in and we did our thing. And as we were waiting and people were, going in and out, it was really quick. People were going in and out, and like barely singing. And we didn't know if that was good or bad. And so we go in there and we're in there for like 20 minutes. And they keep having us go through all these songs. And we're like, oh, they hate us. They're just trying to like,
Make fun of us or
I don't
something.
know, like
Maybe use them for
no,
like a
like
blooper roll.
no, I don't know, just maybe like, oh, I don't know if we let whatever. So we go through our thing, and they're very LA. So and he's just like, yep, great, okay, you're gonna talk to this person, and
We'll see you in LA.
You're gonna sign, you're gonna sign all these papers, and basically that means we love you and we want you to move on. And we're like, what?
He was like, he looked at us and it was so like straight. It was like it could have gone either way. Like, you are absolutely horrendous. You should never do that again.
So shocked.
Or-
So then they like immediately take us to another room, and there's like all these cameras and lights, and they do our interview kind of like right now, like, hey, tell us how you met. It's really like lighthearted and fun. And we were just ourselves, like really goofy and dumb. And so then they go, okay, well, you made it to the next round, this is the executive callback now in LA, but before you get really excited, we're going to send your video that you just did, your audition, we're going to send it to our producers, and then they for sure will send you or say, hey, no, we changed our mind. So every step of the way, there's like, you could be like, yeah, and then it's, oh, never mind. So a couple weeks later, we get another email. Yeah, we definitely want you to come to LA for executive callbacks. It's like a 3-day thing. And at that point, it's narrowed down to like 150 people. So out of like thousands, like 40,000 or whatever it is, I don't know. It's narrowed down to like 150 people, something like that.
Yeah.
So we get to LA, and that's where we meet everybody that's there. And that was probably my favorite part, was just meeting people from all over the place. Lots of worship leaders. Honestly, we met so many worship leaders from churches.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They sing all the time. They're just, there's so much talent, and we were so inspired. We would gather at night and like show songs we wrote, songs just
We've been
cover
leading
songs.
worship like around a
We started
fire,
talking,
like,
we started talking about God to people, and just people. It was really, really amazing. And I remember saying, like, God, if we're here just to like show others your love and compassion, because some people have walked away from the church and really hurt by the church, and so we just showed love. And I'm like, if that's the only reason we're here, then so be it, So we go through that whole weekend, and I remember us being the last the time of the day. So like, you go in your audition, it's a little bit more intimidating. You're in front of like all these producers. You go to the studio, and they have it really like vibey and really cool, and we sing our song, and they don't give you any feedback there. They just go like, thank you. And we can kind of hear them like as we're walking out, like, oh, they were, that was good. And we're like, okay. So so we walk out, it was the end of the day. So then they go, okay, we'll come back to the hotel, and you're going to find out what happened. So then I remember they were just reading off these lists of names, and they're like,
they had 2 rooms, like
two rooms,
rooms,
and they
like,
separate you. And so there's a group of people in one room and a group of people in the other room. We have no idea if we're the group that's like going home or the group that, hey, you did great. So I remember going in there and joking, like, all right, guys, you had a good run. Like, let's, we're going home. And then this like executive producer walks in, and her little dog walks behind her, and she comes in, and she's just taking her time. And we're all like, what is happening? And she goes, so, based on your auditions today, we want you to come back for the blind auditions. And we're like, and everyone started screaming.
It was crazy.
And JonCarlos and I just looked at each other like, what? And like shocked, like we couldn't believe it. And then again, they go, well, let's bring you down to earth. So now you're going to go into a,
Another crazy vetting process.
We did a psych evaluation.
Psych eval, wow.
Yeah, like
They're like,
make
oh,
sure.
you're a pastor?
No,
Oh,
no.
I'm just kidding.
No, like make sure that we don't have anything crazy going on, you know?
Yeah.
And so
They
we
thought
did,
I was crazy.
no,
I'm just
but
kidding. Kevin's
so-
like, yeah, I think.
yeah, so they go, okay, you're selected to go to the blind audition, but you could still be cut in between. So, so the next day we're there and we do more interviews and we do more we met with the psychiatrist, all this stuff. Yeah, so then a month goes by or a few weeks and they go, yep, you're officially coming to LA for a month. Pack your bags. You're going to record the blind auditions.
And at
we're
that
like,
time, we're like a month. Like we had our oldest daughter was 1.5 years.
yeah.
So we were like, hey, we're husband and wife, and most people here are single or they have their spouse taking care of their kids or whatever. Like, what are we gonna do? They're like, oh, don't worry, we'll help you out.
Yeah.
So we had our parents like really stepping in and helping, and we had some help from some friends, but
It was super tough, and they didn't know what to do with us.
we were the
because
first husband-wife duo.
we did it as a duo.
Yeah.
And they really, I mean, it seemed like they really wanted us and really liked us. I mean, that was whatever. But
Yeah.
so we signed. I remember we got this 100-page contract, and I was crying.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't know. I was like, oh, I don't know if we should do this. Like, we have a kid. Like, is this, you know? And I did feel a peace about going. I remember talking to Mark Allen, Schoolmeisters, and he just really encouraged us to and walked us through it. And
We met with Pastor Nate and Pastor Jody
Pastor
and-
Jody were so amazing,
At
and they
Cold
go,
Stone Creamery.
yeah, they go, you have to do this. Like, this isn't, you know, you
They
have
blessed
to. They
us.
blessed it.
Yeah.
So we went and we left our baby girl, and that was so hard. And so through it, we get there and we're there for a month, and there's about 95 contestants, and we learn this. They give you your song that you are gonna sing. You don't get to pick it.
They
picked
for
it.
you.
And it's 90 seconds of a song, and you're there for a month just working on this one thing. And
The
I
one
will say,
song.
yeah. So they really equip you, honestly, like to do well. They give you get voice lessons. You get
They resource you. Yeah.
yes, they resource you like crazy. And so it
But
was
they tell you straight up, they're like,
Yep.
this is a reality TV show
yep.
that a competition happens to be a part of. So we're in it to make really good TV, but
Yeah.
you're in it to get as much as you can out of it.
Yeah, so we
know?
did. We made friends.
Lifelong
we
friends.
learned a lot. We learned a lot. We sat in just tons of meetings and just learned about the industry and all these things. And
And every day we would go back to our hotel room and we would just surrender it to Jesus. We
Yeah.
would just say, Lord, like, if you want us to go another day in this,
yeah,
let it be so. And if you don't, close the door.
it's so easy in that to get sucked in. Like, you're in Hollywood and you're in like Universal Studios and you're getting your makeup done and you're getting wardrobe, and so it's so easy to get sucked in and lose sight of reality,
Oh, yeah.
honestly. So I think, to your point, like, that's why we always had to come back and surrender to Jesus and make sure our hearts were right, because
Yep.
it's a different world.
It really is. And I remember, like, Gabby had kind of a crew of women that were just kind of getting really tight, and like they would come to Gabby for like life advice because they knew like you're like a pastor, right? And like you go to church and stuff, right? Like, and you're a mom and like and all this, like, what about this? And they like, I remember there would be moments that they would just be bawling and just like having like a total God moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like I remember having conversations with guys on the show and like talking about just Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, it was so cool.
And now, years later, a couple of them live in Minneapolis, and JonCarlos still kind of talks with them and is just there for them. They're not, a couple of them aren't Christians, but
We're being a light.
Yeah, we're just being a light. And I think, and they always will reach out to you. And so I think that's really, really cool. And how it all ended, we'll land the plane here and this is getting long. If you remember, we didn't bring our daughter, and they had really kind of overpromised us
They
some
said
stuff.
that your girl will be there after a week. Oh wait, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh wait, 3 weeks. And we're like, what in the world?
Yeah, and then just as you go farther into this thing, you realize the time commitment. And so, you're there for a month for the blind audition. That's just leading up to recording for the blind auditions where you go in front of everyone. And then
Not
if you make
including
it
all the time, like
Yeah.
6 months prior.
if you
even.
make
Yeah.
if you make it past that, then you go to the next round, and that you could be there another couple months, and then after that it's like months and months and months. And so we're like, oh my gosh, like thinking through that as well. Well, they probably really didn't like us because we were really hard, like, hey, you said our kid could be here, and we were very strong. And I remember towards the end, we were it was like a day or two before we were going to record. We were actually going to go in front of the judges or the coaches and do it. And they flew they were about to fly our whole family out.
Our parents were all there.
Yep, not yet. So they said, like, this lawyer came in and he's like, yeah, like, your kid's not going to be able to be with you. Like, we're going to put her at a different hotel with your parents. And I'm like, so we're going to record with her and then you're going to separate us again and then bring, like, that's not going to work. So I got like mama bear on them, and I was like, if I would have known that it was going to be like this, I would not have come. And JonCarlos was like, oh shoot. And I thought they were just,
uh-oh. I'm like, Lord
so
Jesus,
they were
please
like,
don't let it-
okay, well, yeah, it was a bad communication. So they flew our entire family out.
All of them.
All of them flew
My
out.
parents, her parents, our daughter.
Everybody. And they let our daughter come to our hotel with one parent. So, and they said, just keep it on the DL. We're like, okay. So they're all there. We got ready to do our interview with Carson Daly with our family, and we get a call from like high producer, and they basically were like, "You're going home," and we were like, "What?" And I think we I don't know if it was because we pissed him off or or what, but we were sent home, and it was. Yeah, it was hard, and all going back to saying, like, hey God, like,
well, they wanted us to sign over temporary guardianship, and we declined.
Oh wow,
that was a big thing.
Yeah,
I think you left
so
that.
It was yeah, I did leave that out, but so it was hard, and and even after saying, like, hey God, we surrender it, all these things, it still was a disappointment. And, it was, I remember just crying and being like, why did I just come here? And so you start to get, and then am I not good enough? And all those things started to flood in. And, months after that, I saw the reason, I'm like, okay, we were there for a reason. Yes, God, like, thank you. But we're human, and I had to deal with disappointment and
we didn't want to sell out. Like, we just did it.
Yeah,
that was it.
yeah. So there was a lot of emotions. So a lot of good, honestly, that came out of that experience. I'm so thankful for that experience. And they do an amazing job at, the show. They really do. They do treat you well. I really have nothing bad to say. I just think, it wasn't, we had a daughter, and our family was more important, and we didn't want to just leave her behind. And
I think the biggest thing that I learned from it is that when great opportunities come up, we're like, Lord, this is yours, this is yours. And all of a sudden we start in our mind, start conjuring up our own outcome of what it's going to be. And God's like, I have a different picture that I want to paint here.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it's like, it's different. And then we may get disappointed at times, but if it's in God's will, there's a reason for it. And when we look back, we're looking back at all these, I kind of call them nuggets of gold, just these treasures that we found in those moments that we truly did surrender it to the Lord.
Yeah.
And sometimes in our mind, we say that like, God, I'm going to surrender this to you. But really we're saying, Lord, I'm going to say this and surrender it, but like, I want it to happen this way. But
absolutely.
He knows our thoughts.
Yeah.
Like, he knows. And he's
it's
like,
so true.
All right, you said you're going to surrender
I feel
to
like
me.
God was like, okay, well, you said that. It's like, oh yeah, like I did say that, and you did, and it was.
Yeah.
Was that one of the lessons that kind of taking away then is the whole process of surrender and what that looks like, or any other, you said nuggets that you've taken away. Anything come to mind with that?
I think for me, it's like, trust the Lord, take it step by step. And it's really hard to like, try not to make this whole grand picture of what it's going to be like. And we could narrow in on that one thing, and God's saying, I have something so much greater that you're not even seeing.
Yeah.
right now. You're just thinking about that one
Yeah.
piece, and God's like, I have all these things to make a huge masterpiece, and it's really trusting and truly acknowledging that God is in control.
Yeah.
And though the outcome may not be the way that we thought it to be,
Mm-hmm.
it's much greater than what we could have ever thought or imagined. Like, we look back and we're like, man, we would have never made those relationships.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten that experience before. We would not have been, I feel like we grew from it
Oh, yeah.
so much. Like, we came back and then we launched SOAR, the School of Artistic Refinement, where we're like, we want to invest into the next generation of artists, and we want to take all that we've learned from our experiences and our processes. And had we not walked through that door of
Yeah.
opportunity, like, we would not be in the place that we are today.
Absolutely.
You know?
I feel like it was God's protection over our lives too, for
Absolutely.
it not to go farther than it did. I really, really believe that. I didn't see that at first because, like JonCarlos said, I think I prayed like, God, I surrender, but you still have this, in your mind of what it's going to look like, and it could be this, and this could be the big opportunity, and I could change the world, and just all these things. You start to go down that. But yeah, God had different plans, and I'm so thankful that He did, and for His protection over our lives and where He's brought us now. So yeah.
No, that's you mentioned SOAR, and we're gonna jump to that in a second. But I just want to highlight what you're saying for the fact that when this comes out, I mean, we're in the midst of this coronavirus, and people's plans and agendas are changing, and it's kind of a new season, and we're probably people are questioning things. And from your lesson, there's the truth that we don't see the long-term picture. It's a long-term game that God's playing, and sometimes those moments feel hard, and it's okay to feel hard in the moment, but what God's doing in you is probably more important than what He does through you.
Absolutely.
So let's jump into SOAR here, because I know that you both are passionate about that. Why did you? You kind of alluded to one thing there, but why did you start SOAR? What is SOAR, and then why did you start it?
Yeah, so SOAR is a nonprofit entity that it's a school of the arts. We call it the School of Artistic Refinement, hence the name SOAR. But really, it's for empowering the next generation of artists, refining their skills, their God-given abilities, and growing and just learning and receiving high-level music education. Another thing that with SOAR is I agree that type of experience and opportunity should be given to everyone. So we don't limit it to like, hey, if someone can't pay it, like that, we hope that that's not the hindrance. We hope that that's not the reason why they rob themselves of that opportunity. So we want to do everything that we can, hence the reason why we're a nonprofit. So we partner with also public school systems that want help and assistance in growing in their music education. So we try our best to give everything that we can. We have a great staff of teachers, but really it was like, and not only are they like, they're teachers that like do it, they don't do it for the money. They do it because they care. They care about students. They care about music. They care about art. They care about a high level of excellence and being able to transfer that to the next generation. So for me, growing up in the city of Milwaukee, my parents worked hard to put bread on the table. I mean, both had full-time jobs. They couldn't really necessarily drive me to like after school programming or anything like that, or they would pay for some things here and there, but like it got expensive, And in the school system, Milwaukee public school system, after my music teacher was about to get laid off, she looked at my parents, she said, your son has something special, and I want to give my time to him, volunteer for free after school and teach him music lessons. If it wasn't for Miss Lynn Roginski investing and seeing something in me, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. I wouldn't be the lead worship pastor at Emmanuel Christian Center. I wouldn't be leading worship, writing music, doing SOAR. So for me, it's like, I need to give back. We need to do this. And coming back from our experience of on The Voice, it's like, hey, we really can do this. Like people, I think, respect our skill level enough to say, hey, we want to learn from you. And we started developing this program, partnership with Inspire Possible, and um, people saw the dream that we had, and they wanted to just ignite the fuel and say, go for it. Like, let's do it. So that's really the kind of the birthplace of SOAR.
And for those who are longtime listeners, you will remember that Tim Sanders was on the show episode 18, or you can go back and listen to that. And he alluded to this amazing couple, and now there's the tie-in for those who are wondering the amazing talent that was referenced back then. Here we got him here. And this is a family affair over at our house on putting together questions for you guys, apparently. And so when my wife wanted to throw out this one, when you think about SOAR, if you guys were dreaming big and money was no object, what kind of things would you dream of SOAR becoming or doing or being involved in?
Man. I truly I feel like when a young musician or artist gets to like a certain level, they have like dreams. They're like, oh, I want to do something in a recording studio. Oh man, I just want to go to a place and just have a musical outlet that I can just partner with some of the best and have some of the best equipment that, it's kind of like a painter with the right, set of brushes and paint, like just give them the canvas and they'll go. I want to provide a place where the next generation, kind of like how the YMCA, like they just have a gym, like come and burn some calories or something, like come and get me, if you want to go swimming, come, let's go swimming, but like a SOAR center. Like I'm like thinking in every major city of the United States, like and around the world, like let's go global.
Yeah, like recording studio, just like a safe place for kids to come from everywhere, not just like from whatever background, and just have a place that they can collaborate and create with other kids.
And that's the thing, like to make a place that is accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times, like you hear of these great schools like Berkeley, and either got to be like this insane like musical prodigy or have tons of money to pay for the college debt later on. Like for me, it's like I want to raise the next generation of students and say, hey, that kid deserves a chance because they got something, and they could end up getting that full ride scholarship to Berkeley or whatever, but like.
And I feel like it's not just about the music too. It's about really pouring into these kids and I don't know, just speaking life to some of these kids and pulling things out that they.
Music and mentorship, 100%.
Yeah.
Like some of the best musicians that we will develop will be the next, like the best leaders that we develop.
Yeah,
I truly believe that.
Like we want to raise up good humans too.
Yeah,
not just good musicians.
Exactly. There's some weird musicians.
Like be a good human. Like,
but like
be
think about it.
compassionate.
Think about what that would do to a community that you have a building dedicated to the arts. That it's a recording studio, dance studio. It's got practice rooms. You got songwriting rooms. You got a performance center, like a theater.
And it's not exclusive.
It's not exclusive. It's not just given to, the ones that have the means to afford something like that. But it's really given to those that are like, hey, it's not every kid out there is an athlete. We got a lot of great programs for athletics, but I don't see like a ton of great programs for our students that are more like artistically inclined, like music and visual arts and go graphic design and broadcasting and all that stuff. Like let's give a place that everyone can come and learn and grow and receive not just musical education or artistic education, but mentorship, leadership, development.
Be a good human. That should be a life motto for somebody. I don't know.
Just be a good human.
That's right. Now, our time is slipping away here, so I want to get to a couple of questions on the worship front before we wrap up. First, I'll start with Gabby. I've been in worship experiences where you were leading, and it was just one of those moments where I've seen people were kind of on their edge. Maybe it was a prayer service, and they're kind of sort of engaging, and it was almost like, the only way I can describe it, per kind of your will said, we're going to go into the presence of God. We're going to go after. There was kind of you shifted. Shifting the atmosphere is probably not the right word, but you said by your leadership you took people in. Any advice for people who are leading worship into how to engage people deeper into the presence of God?
Yeah. For me, I mean, I can't lead someone where I've never been before, so it's in those quiet places, for me, of just sitting with God, in my room, or after the kids go to sleep, or in the morning, whenever it is, or just as I'm walking like through my day with my kids, and asking God, hey, I need you every day. And in those moments of worship, what I say, and actually Pastor Nate talk to me about this, and I just say, God, I take spiritual authority right now in the name of Jesus, right before I'm about to lead people. And I say that almost every time. And that's something Pastor Nate shared with me, and it like changed me. I was like, man, like, yeah. So I say that, and sometimes if you watch me, you might hear me say that, like, or see me mouth it, and I do, and so yeah, it's for me, it's the quiet moments before I ever step on a platform, making sure my heart is right, and then it's that I take that spiritual authority that Jesus.
Well, I can see that spiritual authority can come from a confidence that you have been in the presence of God, and that both of you kind of exude that when you're leading, that you've been there. And JonCarlos, when you lead, you often, or at least I've seen you often, begin to operate in the gifts of the Spirit when you're leading. Any kind of thoughts or advice for people who, in general, or specifically for leading worship, but also just in general, who want to go deeper in operating in God's gifts that kind of flowing through their life?
Yeah, I think for me, I think back to the psalmist David, how he would have times in the pastures out there and with his sheep, and he would just be out there with his, maybe it's like a guitar or his harp, or something, the guitar of that time, he was definitely a hippie. I'm just kidding.
Nice.
Just like out there with his guitar singing Kumbaya. I'm just kidding. No, but I'm thinking of, I'm joking, totally. But I'm thinking of those times where David would seek the heart of God, and he just wanted to hear God, and he would just have normal conversations with him, that it just became a normal everyday thing. Like, I wake up in the morning and I talk to my wife. It's just how we are. Yeah, at first, when the first time I had to go and talk to her, I was nervous. I probably stumbled over my words, and maybe she said something and I didn't hear it right or something. It's the relationship and the constant community and the communication between one another. And I always tell worship leaders, like, it's not this magic potion that you drink, or it's not even from a book, self-help book or worship leading book that you get. It's simply in the communication that you hold with our Heavenly Father. Yeah. It's the everyday conversation. I remember in high school when I felt like the Lord would just start giving me like prophetic words. I would just be walking down the hallway and I'd say, God, speak to me. I want to talk to you. And I would just talk to the Lord, going from class to class. I did that in college. I do that to this day, walking from place to place, meeting to meeting, at home. It's just, that's the way I work.
You were never afraid to speak up, and if God told you to do something and you ignored it, you would walk and I remember you would look at me and you go, I gotta go back. And so you're so sensitive to the Holy Spirit, and I can attest to that.
But it comes from a constant relationship of talking.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I take back. Like David, what prepared him was those conversations and those songs that he would have with the Lord in his alone time. He would wake up and cry out to the Lord. He would go to sleep and cry out to the Lord. Like he would have his day and he would just be talking to God, and God would talk with him. And in those moments, I tell people, like, when I'm leading on a platform, I'm not leading just to like, and I'm just stepping up there and just like, okay, here we go.
Right.
It's a process of preparation. I'm leading, like how Gabby said, I'm leading from a place that I've already been. I've been having a conversation with the Lord. And at times I want to be so prepared that I don't have any hindrances. Like, for example, I'm going to know my music. I'm going to know the song. I'm going to have a plan of where I'm going. But if God wants to disrupt the plan, it's not going to just like catch me out of nowhere and just like surprise me. I'm expecting for God to move.
Yeah.
I come expecting for the Lord to speak. And if he chooses not to give me something at that moment, I'm going to continue on with the prepared plan that I had before, that I had in walking with him and talking with him. But if God says, I want to show up right now in this moment, JonCarlos, let me speak, I'm giving an open ear to him. I'm taking time beforehand and preparing, knowing like where I'm going. And if God wants to flip the script, I'm going to be ready for that.
Both of you kind of been saying the same thing, as far as it's almost like the body, the worship leading experience is actually the tip of the iceberg, and there's all the things that's happened beforehand in your relationship with God that sets the stage for that moment.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
So I know that the kids are still sleeping right now, so we're gonna wrap this pretty quick here before the miracle ends. But if a couple of quick questions. This one, well, quick on my end. You can do whatever you want with it. But what is God messing with you right now? What area of your life? Now, this doesn't have to be therapy, meaning more just kind of, is there a verse that's kind of getting you right now, or it's a thought about God that's really grabbing a hold of you? Anything just kind of, because we're always continuing well, at least for me, he never stops messing with me. So is there anything that comes to mind that God's really dealing with you right now?
You want to go?
Sure. I was going to share about before all of this happened, this pandemic, JonCarlos and I both, and me, just myself, I was so busy, like always in a hurry, never slowed down. And I felt like as a mom, I was missing it. I was missing a lot of moments with my kids. Even if I was there, I wasn't there. I was always moving on to the next thing. And right before this happened, I read this book. We both did, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. And it changed my life. And just, it talked about how Jesus lived his life, and he was always in the moment. He was never rushing to get to the next place. And it's, in our society, like that's hard for us. I feel like we have that hustle, and we have to make something happen and keep going and keep doing. Like think about the thing that we say when people, how you doing? I'm good, busy. I'm busy, but I'm good. And I'm like, is that, we almost take pride in that.
We ain't saying that no more. People
we take,
it's different.
Yeah, you take pride in that. But
what are you doing? I'm at home.
Yeah. So and it's not just slowing down. So when this happened, yes, we were forced to like physically slow down, but I feel like my mind and everything else was still going. And I didn't know how to slow it down in my thoughts. And so, I'm learning a new rhythm and, slowing my pace and everything, and allowing, yes, like God to speak to me, and not being in a hurry to get to the next thing, even while I'm at home. Because I'm if you're into the Enneagram, I'm a 3, so I'm
a 17. I don't even know.
He doesn't know what he is.
I don't know what I am.
But I would need to accomplish something. Like I have to do something. I can't sit still until something's done. And I'm learning to just sit. And whether that's just watching my kids do something silly and I'm in the moment and not going, hey, you didn't pick this up. And yes, I still do that. I still yell at them. But just being in the moment a little bit more.
She yells at me too.
Slowing down my pace and allowing him to help me in that and speak to me in new ways. And so when we come out of this, I don't want to go back to the way it was. I don't want to take some of those things back with me. So that's what I'm learning.
Very cool.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm like learning how to be a good neighbor all over again. It's weird,
It's so good.
and just being more aware of those around me. And I think, I can resonate a lot with what Gabby was saying, like just being in the moment, like being a good dad honors God. Being a good husband honors God. Being a good neighbor honors God.
I have never seen you talk to our neighbors more. He is out there every day talking to them.
And
I love
I'm an
it.
extrovert.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the time when I go outside, I'm either doing some yard work, trying to clean it up real quick, or like I'm out. I gotta go, to the next thing. But it's like I'll go and I'll find my neighbor and I want, how are you? And now they actually know that we're believers and we're pastors, and they'll have conversations with me. Like
It kind of was.
it was so cool.
It was kind of
Like,
crazy when we were home more in the beginning. They said, "Man, you guys were gone a lot." Like,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Oh man, like you're right.
that
We're never
slapped
home."
us in the face. Like,
And so
yeah.
Very cool. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, even though you're not busy anymore. But and that book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, that's on my list of. Well, a board member told me I need to read it, so I guess that's a second thing there. So,
yeah,
Great book. Great book.
and for anyone listening, we'll put that in the show notes. Speaking of show notes, if people want to learn more about you guys, whether SOAR or just your videos, anything like that, where would you like to send them?
iwillsoar.org. I will, SOAR.org. I will soar.
and you can just follow us on social media.
Yeah, Gabriella Velez, and then JonCarlos Velez on Instagram.
I think our YouTube as well. We haven't.
JonCarlos and Gabriella.
JonCarlos and Gabriella.
Facebook.
All those things. We got stuff everywhere.
We got
Emmanuel Live, our
Emmanuel
music.
Live.
Emmanuel Live. That's our church.
Common Hymnal.
Common
That's-
Hymnal.
We're part of writing community there as well. So we got a couple things.
So yeah, you got a couple things.
Trying to write.
We're kind of we're everywhere.
Yeah.
This will be a great episode to send people to the show notes, and I'll put a list of all that so you can find where. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. This has been fun.
Yeah. Super fun.
Kevin, too, for all the listeners, listening. Kevin, you are incredible, man. Every time I see you, you just encourage me to just not only be a better human, good human, but honestly to be a better Christ follower, to seek the face of God. And in moments of like really kind of down and tired, running on empty times, you've always been there to smile, and you just been there, and you just being around you is just a joy, man. You really radiate the presence of the Lord. Just knowing that. So
And
Kevin,
your kids do too.
dude,
And
seriously,
it's so
Samantha,
beautiful.
she's incredible,
Yeah.
man. So we love your family. We love you so much.
Well, we love you guys. This has been an easy one. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that conversation, and it was an encouragement to you in your walk with Jesus, and you allowed him to speak to you through them and their story and their journey, and you just enjoyed them. To learn more about them and what they're doing, as they mentioned a whole bunch of things where you can follow them and things like that, why don't you just head over to christconnection.cc, click on the podcast, and I'll put them all the things they mentioned there in one place, so you can learn, dive in, dig, listen to their music. It's good stuff. Again, that's christconnection.cc/podcast. While you're at it, why don't you subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes that we have coming for you. We've got some exciting things around the corner. And it means so much if you would take a moment to rate and review this podcast. It helps more people find out about what we're doing, and then we can be a blessing to them as well. And we just love to hear what your thoughts are on the guests we have, things like that. Whatever you want to say, I'm willing to listen. So take a moment, rate, review. And until next time, thanks for listening.